Good morning. Okay. What's up? What is up? Can't lie, already hit previous day's high. To me, not a big fan of that. Because that means we'll probably consolidate, to be honest, heading into the open. But we'll find out. We were able to close above that on hourly, so that's nice. 15 as well. So still like the idea of trying to get higher. Retracement first potentially would be nice. Yeah, because pretty much every time frame is closed above yesterday's high. 4 hour hasn't closed yet, but we'll see if that wants to confirm that as well. I'm gonna go get my drink. I'll be right back before 8:30. Close enough. We're back. Just in time. So let's see where we are. As we said, we're already at, this is yesterday's high. Usually what we'd see, if we're going to accelerate into that before any type of opening, it's just going to consolidate around that level. So we'll see if we can actually push maybe another 5 handles or something this morning. I do like that we're holding that. So if we can continue to hold that, it should accelerate us as well. Daily fair value gap, what else can we aim? Let's see. Closure of the 1 hour potentially. And then equal highs here. So the hourly actually holds us on the hourly. Okay. So yeah, I would still expect higher prices, to be honest. One hour high, like that. So 8:30 right now. Ideally, I'd like to see it run lower. So if we're going to try to go long this morning, pick up some sell side and then look for a reversal. And then we'd use that. Okay. Yeah, so this fair value gap I'd like to hold here, actually. All right, patience now. Let's see, we cleared that sell side. Do we hold that low? Protect the inversion. Okay, so I'd like to target this high and then potentially up here. Like, let's say that we can run out this low, clear the equal lows, trade into midpoint. And then if we get some type of displacement outside the 15 or like a YouTube model inversion, I think the 15 would be a good idea to try to use there if we're going to respect that. Whatever swing low gets put into place. This level here is that 4-hour high from yesterday. So price ended up kind of trading into that, stuttering there, leaving it. Hit it once again. Twice we displaced through that, and we actually left a small fair value gap there as well. So I could even see that all the way down into this and find support. Lower than that, I would probably expect some lows to get targeted. NQ, pretty much same spot. I just consolidating to start the morning. Five-minute volume imbalance. Okay. So yeah, let's see if we can't pick up these lows. Run that liquidity. Retest midpoint of the 15. All right, so now that we've done that, let's see what we can get here. We'll see if we want to venture into the 1 minute. So the lower part of this 15, as we said, we have that 4-hour old high here. Could be a potential area of support paired with this little displacement fair value gap as we get above it. Gonna be a pretty fickle delivery, I would guess. You could just tell by the candlesticks, right? Lacking a lot of volume and movement. To get 5, we'd have to, okay. So we'll see what ends up happening here. If we can get back above the fair value gap now, we'll hold in this low in place. We'll have a little bit of SMT here, which might be able to hold us and give us that run we're talking about. If NQ keeps this low intact and ES can reject from this low and get back above its 15-minute fair value gap. Still got about 7-8 minutes until the actual 15 will close. So that'll give us some more information. Yeah, as we say, right, we've already actually closed above yesterday's high more than once, and we're really respecting that with the bodies. So I would just kind of want to see if that can't continue. Which should give another little run, in my opinion. So I'd want to see if we can leave the 15-minute high, close above that. And then the expectation will be the 15-minute should be able to hold price. If we're going to test 830, test buy side, it's going to be pretty small ranges though, right? So like, that's only 3 handles. We're very zoomed in, so it looks like it's a fair move, but in reality, very small range right now. Like for us, right, our typical ends model, we need at least 5. So if we're going to reach into that hourly fair value gap high, that'd give us room to reach for. What I really want to see now, let's see if a fair value gap were to get left here. So we've closed on it. This candle looks like it's going to want to leave it, right, as we said, as we pick up this low. Curious to see if an inefficiency will form here. If it does, you would almost expect, right, that holds to give that run into buy side with NQ running that low. You know, I did actually end up taking just one. Thought about streaming, but then I was too lazy, if I'm being completely honest. So if we're going to do that, we kind of expect rejection, but now as we said, I kind of want to see that 15-minute hold, the actual candlestick, and just hold price in general if we were going to retest into that. Yeah, SMT, as we said, right, which is nice with NQ. NQ didn't clear that low at all. ES managed to. I'm curious how big, like we said, that is a pretty small range though. Okay, so we will see, like I said, if we're going to retest the 15. Got about 5 more minutes. It looks like it's going to want to hold. This may have just been a turtle soup entry without a retracement, but because of price kind of moving how it is, I would expect at least another retracement, even if the objective is buy side. We'll see. I'll show you real quick the actual setup we took. NQ setup, surprisingly. Just a little bit cleaner. Dun, dun. Alright, so as we just continue to push higher and we head into power hour, I was looking to short because we had just been moving higher and higher, we had this consolidation. This was my objective here, this low. So now as we create the swing point, we displace through that swing point, closing above. That should be continuation. Instead, we displace right through the low. That right there was a classic YouTube model. And for me, that's where we went short. So we have the short-term high being cleared. We had the break in structure. We have our OB, we have the volume imbalance, we have the fair value gap. I just used the candle here. That was overlap with the volume imbalance. Stop was right above it. And then I just said, just targeting that. So something simple. Right, and even in that, it was a lot of give and take. This is really a set and forget. So I had this entry set, and then I really didn't come back until my alert was hit here. Just because price was kind of fickle. I didn't want to sit in front of the charts for that. But the presentation of it was pretty clean. Right, true displacement, leaving the volume imbalance as we close below not only the candle, but the swing low. After creating the run up into power hour. So that everything kind of aligned. Sloppy delivery, but the idea played out. So it was nice. Where are we at now? Okay. So maybe we might not get that retracement. Still have time, right? 8:30 will tend to be, as we say, pretty methodical. So we can give it a lot of give and take. Still would expect that to hold if it's going to tap it. We'll see. At this point, 8:30, right? Look at how the body respected that. Kind of curious to see now if we're going to do that, if the actual previous day high will want to offer any type of support. So I'm watching the candle bodies here to see if it's going to start using that as its key level, right? And if the bodies start respecting that, it may not even make an attempt to come back into this 15. 5-minute volume imbalance as well. Okay. Yeah, so we'll still hold the expectation that we can get another tap. But if we do run, we'll understand why. Especially if that 15-minute closes it back above. As we said, bodies are holding it. Previous day high is keeping the bodies above that area. So if the 15-minute were to close, it may actually just run and not even retest this original wick that it has created. Equal lows here, so that wouldn't be a bad idea though. A little micro sense. Right? Fractalize equal lows, clear those, hit the inefficiency. Surprisingly, pretty classic buy day, honestly. Yesterday. Morning consolidation. Clear lows heading into 10. Reversal. And then the bullish continuation. You could even see though, even though it was respecting, and I did post the recap for it in the Discord, the candlesticks themselves are just pretty fickle, is what we would say, lacking really any volume. Even though the underlying narrative did play out. Kind of just ugly delivery with the candlesticks themselves. So we have high impact news at 10 o'clock again today. That's when Powell starts talking as well. Not sure if we'll be there until then, but we'll be here a little bit longer, at least another hour, I would say. I want to see the 9:30 opening for sure. Okay, so we were able to pick up, let's see, we got these equal highs. So after that, we could get a little retracement. Potentially into 15, what we said price should hold. Candle body's getting stuck right at previous day's high. 15 did close above, right? So look at that. Once again, it closes right on that level actually. So that would have been, what candle was that? Okay, so if we're going to see that, right, once again, the 15 3 times in a row now has respected that previous day high after closing above it. I would expect one more run through buy side because of that. So if the intention is to go lower first, as we say, 15-minute at this point, I'd want to see hold. We clear that sell side already. We displace outside of it, leaving a 1 minute linked with the 15-minute. Yeah, it's S&T at the highs and the lows. The highs and the lows. We cleared the low and we've cleared the high. So at this point, right, NQ was able to get that high. It was stronger. We noticed that because it couldn't even clear the low that ES did. Still have S&T at these lows. My expectation is I'd rather see another run higher than a retracement at this point to at least get this buy side here. Once we clear that buy side, if we clear this buy side first without tapping this, then we may fall right through it. 830 held us pretty aggressively. So we wicked into the buy side. 830 held the bodies. Retesting the little 1 minute in here. So we had two actually, right? We had one here, one here. If that's the case, you can have the expectation that the top one will want to hold for the low barrier of entry, but that you have to allow for the deeper retracement if there's two fair value gaps stacked on top of one another. And I like the fact that that lower one is paired with the 15. So that's kind of the one that we're keying up on. Dollar is rallying, so I still look at dollar. Doesn't really offer us as much confluence as it used to. Right, we get above its first presented, starting to rally. So we'd usually see the indices fall because of that, but lately it hasn't really been moving in tandem, so I don't put too much emphasis. Did we tap that? We did not. So we could still get into that. We've hit the low of the higher 1 minute. We do have a little volume imbalance, so we'll see if that stays open. If it does, we should be able to give one more run into the actual 15 itself. Right, creating another wick at this point. Expectation would be, if we're going to do this, we'd want to see pretty much what's been continuing. So a wick into it, and this time try to actually get above that original swing point. Let's say that we were to fall right through this 15, closure back below the 4 hour. That's where the expectation would actually kind of flip for me. Excuse me. But if we're going to do all that, I'd actually look for like these equal lows and this open inefficiency here. So untapped inefficiency that has equal lows sitting right above it. It's going to be a pretty easy target if we flip and start targeting some sell side. For now though, I would expect the 15 minute to try to hold price again. and potentially come back up into the buy side now, right? That we've been consolidating here. You'd have to kind of watch this volume imbalance because now, as we said, we had two fair value gaps here. So because we closed below this one and we left that little volume imbalance, it may want to act as resistance. I'd kind of want to see if we can't get back above that area and instead flip that into an area of support. Use that as a discount. Do I ever rave? I do not. Do you, or what? You a raver? Nothing against it, just never been. I don't mind some EDM tunes every now and then. So just retesting 830. We'll see if we can get above 830. Right, get into yesterday's high. Then from there, potentially see what we want to do. That's not yesterday's high. What is it actual yesterday's high? Right there. Indicator, hello, fix yourself. Does that sometimes. Let's look like this. So this is yesterday's high. And this is high of day. Right at 8:30. In my mind, since we've opened to 8:30, it's really all been one-sided, immediately lower. We did get the wick, but bodies hold lower again. So if we can close above, I would expect that we should be able to release. And as we said, clear at least this little swing point. So that's that buy side right there. Tomorrowland, say less. I can't lie though, I like music, but I don't like large crowds, okay? So, like even people that I like, I've never really been to a concert before. I've been to one. But you know, the loud noises get me. I'll be getting pissed. I guess I'm a loser, you could say. Party pooper. A little fickle, not too bad though. Doing good, doing good. I would expect, right? So if the expectation is we want to see bullish delivery, we would hope that this fair value gap could hold us because it's paired perfectly, right? Look at how consequent encroachment, you can't even see it because it's previous day's high perfectly. So that's kind of what I mean by like finding the fair value gaps that are linked to the higher time frame key levels. And especially because as we trade into the 15, right, we immediately create that as we trade higher and then we close above 830. So for me, I'd really want this to hold if we're going to try to attack short-term buy side. Once we run into that buy side, then maybe I could see it falling. But for the time being, at least in this little leg, we try to see if that doesn't want to hold, paired with the 830. Hey, knock it off, girl. Paired with the 830 to run into that buy side. NQ has attacked a high again. So NQ kind of easily running through those highs. I'm not too worried about the S&T at this moment, however, just because on a 1 minute, right, you don't want to get lost in that. It is unfortunate if we were to break aggressively, but at this point, this is really our main objective, right? I think we could retest that 15 a few times and still hold potentially higher time frame. So even if NQ has cleared that high, potentially could do it again. Say we fall through that fair value gap, that to me would be just less than ideal. Because at this point, I'm wanting the previous day's high to hold us and act as our area of support. So we've hit that, we hit the low of the fair value gap. From here, I'd want to see us get above 830 again and then run out these equal highs because we've actually created equal highs here now, just below the actual buy side. But we try to run that out. And then from there, as we said, if that wants to be kind of max, we'll see price fall over on itself. Maybe retest to 15 again. It's in bell. Oh, that's pretty lit. No, I can see that though, honestly. The energy of the crowd gets you hyped up. Let that energy control you. $180,000 people though? That can't be all at once, right? Like throughout the course of the event. Yeah, if it's at once, that'd be crazy. That'd be packed. So as we said, we should get into buy side. We do there. Now from here is kind of when we would expect, if the idea is to stay range bound, a quick rejection, to be honest. Quick rejection lower. Potentially maybe coming back for the 15. Especially look at that volume imbalance. We immediately open with the volume imbalance. Look how we close on the buy side. So just love to see that stuff. Right, those precision elements that we speak of, algorithmic delivery. We wick the buy side, we hold with the candle, we snap right back inside the range of volume imbalance. From here, interested to see if we can get another leg, but that may be all it had to do. But that was kind of the objective there. We'll see if it wants to venture a little bit. This is the 1 hour. Right, so we go back real quick. We look, because we don't really have anything here anymore. We have to look all the way back to the left. This is our 1 hour high. Right, I don't have the entire fair value gap shown just because I'm not trying to block all of everything. But that's what that level is right there. So that'd be our next kind of area of objective if we wanted to, if we wanted to continue bullish in the short term. And then, yeah, I believe that. We could probably get, let's see, another one, like just a halfway point between two PD arrays, right? So buy side and that. That's always a nice area to aim for, just the halfway. So maybe that would be kind of next objective if bullishness wants to continue. At this point, like we said, we could probably come all the way back into the 15. The 15 is about to close. If the 15 somehow was able to actually close above this swing point, that should create a little more push at least. But as we said, 15-minute bodies are holding that absolutely beautifully. So we'll see if we can get above when the 15-minute closes here in the next 2 minutes. If not, we'll probably just reject. NQ is running still. So if we can get that slow delivery in NQ, that'll be nice. Continue to push higher. ES breaks outside of this buy side. Continue to push higher. Oh no, we got drama. Oh, no drama. Just a guy. Raver, I love that. No, that's cool though. Yeah, like I said, I like some EDM synth music. I listen to that a lot, to be honest. That's more like synth gaming tunes. But the electronic music. Bury the light? What is that? See, I don't know what that means. That's raver term. So far, buy side just getting stuck there. Equal highs. We'll see if we can, as we said, at least get halfway. So like you can bring in the halfway point of here. That'll give us another, just another 2 handles. Or as we said, this is a very small range. We're zoomed in, so it looks like it's moving a lot, but in reality, like, very small range that we're within here. From that high to low is only not even 5 handle move there. Oh, it's a game soundtrack? Okay, okay. He'll buy the ticket. I gotta go all the way to, I gotta get a passport. Go to Belgium. That'd be hype. No, maybe one day. I feel like I would enjoy it more watching on TV. That's what kind of guy I am, unfortunately. I enjoy things, though, in the comfort of my own peace and mind. Even that, I mean, look at just the algorithmic delivery here. Right, so even as we say, it's going to be sloppy, but it's referencing very specific areas over and over again. NQ continues to run, so at this point, because NQ is doing that and ES can't, this is kind of why I would expect this may be all that price can do. And then it may just return into 830, chop around until the opening, and then make a run, if that's our objective, is to get higher. Closure above, as we said, to me, you should be able to, I mean, look at that, we close right on that. So that's not bad because now bodies are starting to show a different story, okay? We close above the high first, we then close back below previous day's high, we close above it again, and now the bodies are respecting it. We make that low wick. The very next 15 we said we want to see close above. It can't. Instead it closes right on that level, so that's fine. We'd want to see if the 15 now can't continue with the bodies to push higher, right? So if the body wants to close this high, we would want to see the next candlestick break through this previous 15-minute high and continue to push. Same for the 5, right? We've closed on that. We haven't closed above in any sense yet, so that's one thing causing us issues, is that we can't actually close above that level. Perfect delivery into it. Doesn't want to close above though. That's the issue. Closure above should allow lift. Link for afterwards. We're going back in time. Say less. See, I haven't even heard of any of these. I know about Coachella. I know about, what's he? WeFest. Let's Google. We'll Google what you're talking about. What is that afterward? I don't even know what that is. I'm trying to look for it. Oh, okay. So as we said, we get closure above. So for that, I would expect at least another run higher. We'll see if we can use this as support. NQ still rallying. So if NQ can maintain strong delivery, and the dollar did actually give a little bit of a pullback. So as we're going higher here, we were kind of getting stuck in indices. Let's say that dollar falls aggressively. We would want to see ES run. At this point, because we did close above, I would want to close above again. If we close right back inside that range, to me, that's negating this previous candle's action. And this was just painting outside the lines a little bit to clear these equal highs, followed by a retracement into the range. So yeah, we close right back on that. So in reality, I'm not really convinced yet that it truly wants to start running. If anything, as we said, equal high sweep of that to come back into 830. Yeah, right back into 830. Okay. So not too surprised by that, right? Especially because higher time frame, still nothing. So 1 minute, you don't want to rely solely on the 1 minute in a case like this. We'll see if 830 can't do anything. At this point, as we said, that may be all price was trying to do. So we would watch previous day's high. That would pretty much have to hold at this point. We come back all the way down into 15. We'll probably just stay choppy heading into 9 o'clock, or 9:30, excuse me. Because not even the 2-minute did, but 5-minute will leave. We need at least a 5-minute ideally. So this may be a swing high. Let's see if we want to attack that one more time. At this point, we'd want to see, right, if the 15-minute really wants to respect previous day's high, we would have the same expectation that the body shouldn't close. In my mind, if we get a body to close below the 15, we'll probably end up coming back down to start attacking sell side. So there's previous day's high. Let's see if we close. Closure below that, to me, leads towards this low, and then potentially this original low. So there's the 15. As you said, if we fall through that, especially after clearing this buy side, then that's when my expectation would be for some lows, to be honest. 15, kind of like the line in the sand that we speak of. So we'll see. We'll see if we want to bounce from here. Back to the 15-minute OB. I mean, ideally I'd want this to hold here, right? So like I wouldn't want to see that deeper retracement here to this high, which is also, right, that's that 4-hour high as well, perfectly. So if we want to maintain bullishness, I'd rather see the 15 try to hold here and run again. As we said, if we ended up coming below this, honestly, I would expect lower prices if we end up falling all the way through into these lows here. A little too clean there, just by looking at that, right? As you mentioned, it's an inefficiency for one, and then it has equal lows there that were never actually inside of that inefficiency. Double magnet, sell side, and an inefficiency. So let's say we fall through the 15, we'd expect at least that. And then at that point, 9:30 opening will kind of be right around the corner. So we'd see, yeah, how big that opening range gap is and where we can go from there. Because for the time being, the opening range gap is going to be to the downside, right? It's going to be pretty much right where this new day opening gap is at. Because that's where price is going to close at 415. So when price opens, if it's up here, the low of that opening range gap is going to be this level. So we'll have this whole range that price could fall into. And at this point, this is kind of where we'll reject in my mind, okay? So we have that buy side that we were speaking of. We create equal highs, we run those equal highs, we displace through a short-term low, closing below that with displacement and a fair value gap. Closing back below previous day's high. So this is going to be kind of where, right, we would expect the rejection. If we can get above this and make another run, then I would expect for sure at least the 1 hour. But this will be a pretty strong premium here. So let's see if we want to hold that. Like if we held this and then broke lower, I for sure would expect equal lows here. (15-minute) has about 5 minutes, so I'm also curious to see if it can still maintain that high. Right, snap back above. Is it fixed now? Okay, so we don't need that still because we have the level there. So previous day high is what I'm watching. That's the exact level, to be more specific. In my mind, rejection will be from here. Bodies won't want to get above it. Bearish breaker. Right, so that's why I'm saying this level is the key level here. Breaker, 1 minute inversion, previous day high, bearish fair value gap. All aligned. Volume imbalances. So from there, now that we've hit that perfectly, I'd see, are we going to fall through this low, these equal lows here? Right, notice we opened with a bearish volume imbalance immediately following that. So we tap that, hard rejection, bearish volume imbalance. 15-minute candlestick closing, 3 minutes. So really wait until then to get true confirmation. Hey babies, you get it out.
Already applied for it. I just want to make sure that
Cool.
get this ball rolling.
Yeah.
And then I think I had the 8th is the date that we move in.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, I like that. That'll work.
Okay,
Have a good day. Alright, where we at? Okay, so as we said, that's the expectation there. But that's going to be the key area. We slam up into it once, we slam up into it again. Body says no thank you, immediate rejection. Using low of fair value gap, so we'll see if we can actually get through it. To me, that's going to be false. That could be an easy run into volume imbalance with the hard rejection wick to clear the equal lows. So we need to close above this, right? Just because we're going up. To me, I don't really fall for those fake moves. That could be an easy rejection here. Say we can get above all of this, that'd be nice for another run. Once again though, right, kind of like we had here, fair value gap. So this is low barrier of entry, but you have to allow for this and price could still hold from here. So we're not out of the woods yet. Even though we did close above that, that's nice. This one could still be the one that holds. 9:15, so we're heading into the open. We'll see if we want to retest buy side once more. Okay, sorry. My fault, fellas. Busy this one. What the hell? What the heck? Where we at? Okay, so yeah, not surprised there. As we said, that's gonna be last line of defense. So false move up, not really too convincing until we get above that. Do you think they'll ever? Yes, they will bring the McRib back. That's a guarantee. Will I eat the McRib though? No. Hard pass. I had one when I was younger, you know. Nowadays, can't do it. I'd be hurting my stomach. Really fast food in general. We got used to the homemade. We do HelloFresh pretty much every day, 5 days a week. HelloFresh and Factor. Those are my two meal service providers. Okay, so at this point, I'm probably expecting 9. As we said, 9:30 will be what we will have to wait for. That buy side is what ended up kind of being the barrier for the time being. And Q hitting its little consolidation as well. So I think, yeah, we'll probably just consolidate heading into the open. And then from there, we'll see what we get. Already at previous day's high. That's another expectation for consolidation. Yes, and my underlying objective and narrative is just higher prices, right? Like I'm on a daily chart. I'd want to see this daily fair value gap here. So if that's the objective, right, we'd want to see price push through all that. We've already closed above the daily fair value gap here, so that should lead to continued expansion. Same as like the 4 hour, right? We come into the 4 hour, we've tested that high. The 1 hour as well. We trade into the 1 hour fair value gap. We close above the 1 hour swing point. We trade into the 15-minute fair value gap, picking up lows. We close above the 15-minute swing point. 15-minute, right, holding previous day's high perfectly. So to me, all of this is saying we should get one more run. We already did get this run, however, so that may be all it wants to do, right? Because we used that 15 first, pick up the sell side, then we've hit buy side. So if this basically 15-minute consequent encroachment to this high was all of the buy side delivery price was going to do today, then we'll probably actually see at 9:30 either a Judas swing to run out that and a break lower, or just immediately break lower off of the 8:30 paired with previous day's high. If that's the case, we get below the 15, we get below this level here is our 4 hour high that we were using yesterday. Now you see how it's being respected. We get below that, then my expectation would be back into lows. And then potentially whatever the midpoint is, because it seems like the opening range gap is going to be, the low will be here and the high is going to be somewhere here. Right, so let's say that it is just right here. Midpoint, we would aim for midpoint, so we would aim for these lows. So far though, just competing PD arrays, so the 15, and really more so the Y side, right? 8:30 as well. We'll see if we can get back above it. Retesting this. So now at this point, if we can get above this, that's when we would see release. But 9:23, my expectation would be not to actually clear this. So we're probably going to stay within this low to this high until 9:30, and then 9:30 will break this range. And then from there, we should have a better idea of what the future move should be. For the time being, though, wouldn't put too much emphasis on the actual structure within here. Maybe having our first little affiliate. Never done that before, but it's with a company that I've actually used in the past. I don't know if you guys have heard of Prop Firm Match. But early on, that's kind of who I used to just help with all of, there's so many prop firms out there now. It's good to have a site that can kind of have them all in one place. Once again, we're going to have the 8:30 and the 9:30 opening be pretty much right next to each other, which is going to, again, expect or lead us to expect consolidation for at least the first half of the morning. Five more minutes, and then maybe we'll get out this range here. Oh, so we'll do it now. Interesting. Random wick. Yesterday's high. If we were to blast through this now, that should actually run. Conversely, if we create this wick and get below that wick, that'll be more bearish. Especially because we held previous day's low there. Look at the way 8:30, right? 8:30 is the wall. So as we say, we're just compressing between these two time-based PD arrays, and look at what's in between them. Hello. Right, that fair value gap is anchored on previous day's high and the 8:30 opening. Bodies are getting compressed in there. I think that'll probably continue till 9:30. Very interesting wick here. We'll see. Right, even then, huge wick lower. Can't even get above 8:30. Did you see that? You see how quickly it tapped that 8:30 and then rejected? I just like to watch stuff like that. Trump is speaking soon. What you mean? Why you say that? I didn't know that. Oh my gosh. What's he got to say, bro? See, this is what... Trump to speak at NATO summit. Oh my. I didn't know that. When? What time? $9 a.m. Eastern. What time is it right now? Damn, and okay, yeah. So we're definitely going to try to be done before that then. Because we're going to have Trump, Powell, and high impact news. So we'll watch the 9:30 open, and then we're gonna skedaddle before 10 o'clock gets. Look at that, brother. 8:30, right? We're just compressed. So yeah, we'll probably stay right here until 9:30. Hard line in the sand. Cannot get above that area. We're trying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Can't. We'll probably come back lower, but previous day low doesn't want to be broken now. So super compression leads to expansion. Ugly. Look at the candles, man. Ugly, ugly. NATO, NATO, NATO. Okay, that'll be interesting. Ceasefire, no ceasefire. War, no war. Tariffs, no tariff. You know what I mean? Like, that's why it's so uncertain. When you can't really trust, like, with the word of the president itself, it just creates a lot of uncertainty, a lot of wishy-washiness. Unfortunate. Bias. Bias is to leave before 10. That's bias. No, bias for me is here. Midpoint of this buy side up into the 1 hour. It really was this buy side. We've already hit that, so I want to see if we can't get another run. But look at the 8:30, right? Absolutely refusing. So to me, that's not good at all. I would expect 9:30 opening to probably just run right back down into all of this. Since we've cleared the buy side already, the opposing buy side will be this low. High to low we create originally, right? That's the original range. We clear the high. We come back down, create equal lows. We cannot get back above the premium in the 8:30. So my expectation would be, if we're going to stay consolidating, it's going to try to come back for this low. And then maybe it'll run, but we'll see. Right, like that? Yeah, bias is be done, be out. 45 seconds and we will see what we get then. Would still like to see the 15-minute hold, right? It's still doing the same thing. So the bodies are respecting that previous day's high. Right at 9:30, when this candlestick closes, that's going to be the 15-minute as well. So let's say that we did close above this high. I'd actually favor it to go up first and then come back down. Right, if we held that, you could see we're getting compressed here. So in my mind, we're going to have some type of break, whether it be the low or the high at 9:30. Just a matter of where. False move, that's not good. We're going to come lower. We have to hold that 15. But right, we close below previous day's high first, and then we run into these highs. I don't like that. If the expectation is this high, we would need to run and close above that, get above the high. Retesting it again, if we reject from there, we'll probably get stopped out. At this point, as we said, I'd like to see at least here, potentially. I don't know if it's going to want to do that all the way, but cool. And we are out. So I'm done there, fellas. 5 handles, get me out of this damn thing. Okay, we've been sitting in this all morning. All right, so as we said, expectation is that we end up high ticking that candle. That's beautiful. But the expectation is the midpoint between the buy side and the 1 hour fair value gap. Our expectation was the 15-minute fair value gap will hold price because it's been holding it as we head into the 8:30 opening, and we've closed above the buy side, which will indicate another run on buy side liquidity. We spoke about how we had equal lows in here, and our expectation was as we run out those equal lows, if we can hold from the 15 minutes consequent encroachment, displace back outside of it, leaving a discount, that new discount will hold price to get another run higher. So that's our entry. We're pretty easy, pretty clear cut and simple. As price creates this low, breaks away, creates a 1 minute, that's our entry. Stop loss below that low. So we had a 2-handle stop there. And then our target was here, 5 handles. Right, because if the expectation is we're going to reach into this midpoint, 5 handles just below that, we should get into that. So we get in there, have to sit through all this nonsense, right? As we said, the original run into buy side, we would expect price to hit that and then retrace. So my stop loss was not moved at all this entire time because we understand the kind of current conditions and price can consolidate here. So we get a few tests of that 1, 2, right at 9:30. This is why I wanted to see price go up first to deliver that. Because if we were to go up and hold this, the expectation is that we would break back down. But the 15-minute ends up holding us that whole time. Right, paired that with the 1 minute. So we catch the swing low. And then we, as we said, that's a crazy exit. That's quite literally the high of that candle. Swing low to swing high. That's kind of how we work. And now we're done. Right? I'm not trying to do anything else. So we'll hang out maybe a few more minutes just to see what opening range wants to do. But yeah, gross. And that's how you have to really trade within consolidations. Be very precise. You want to wait for the extremes of the range to be engaged. You want to anchor the entries to higher time frame areas of interest as well. And you want to just have the low hanging fruit exits. So yeah, we like that. And right, to be honest, to be fair, like that might, if you guys were in that or something like that, this would be a frustrating hold. A few years ago, same, I'd probably close manually, or to be honest, what I would have done, and this is just from experience, like when I was entered here, as we cleared this buy side, I would usually go break even, and then I'd get stopped at break even and price would run. But through the years, I kind of understand, right, when is it likely to retest the original entry and still hold versus when is it likely to retest the original entry and break through it. And because of this, because that 15 was so prominent, we already hit previous day high, consolidation is expected. This would be a condition where price can retest the entry multiple times and still hold structure. So you can't be quick to break even, especially right in smaller ranges like this. Because even this here, right, like we could still, could have like entered again if you wanted to there. Or right at 9:30, you could have entered again there. Or right now, you could have entered again there. In this type of delivery, these original entry points are going to be used more than once, more than twice, really. They're going to be used a lot. And now it's just ugly in here, so we don't really care too much about what's taking place, right? We got our high and low. Can I get both of these up at the same time? No, that's fine. So we might come back for that high. Because as we said, final expectation, I mean macro expectation is buy side, higher, higher, higher. All the way here, then up here. But at least here potentially. So that's kind of what my expectation would be, right? That's that 1 hour. At this point, we didn't get the midpoint either, so we could get that high and run into our 1 hour. What's the 1 hour fair value gap high? How do I open that? There it is. Did I get rid of the 15? Why did I do that? What's that? That's what we were using this whole time. 15 over 1. 1 just correlated with the 15, so added confirmation for entry. Look at the bodies. We actually did get a closure below, but next body, if that closes above, that'll negate this candle's actions. So far, 15 holding. So being able to see through the nonsense a little bit, right, helps. Those higher time frame areas create clarity in areas of confusion like this. Whereas if you're relying purely on like 1 minute structure, right, it's going to be very confusing. Same idea though, and to me, so this has been holding us, we wick, which is nice, but closure above that becomes support, and then 1 hour fair value gap high is what we'd look for. Closure above, so now I'd watch, do we come into this, hold for that, for at least this high maybe, then come into it again and go again. That'd be like the actual, that'd be like consolidation delivery, is that we would hold this right now, we would clear this high with a wick, we'd come back down into this one more time, maybe even getting into this fair value gap or the original buy side, and then price would make another pass at that high, right? Just max carnage type of shit. So yeah, from here we watch. My expectation would be we hold this down close candle body paired with the inversion. It'll accelerate us into this short-term high. From there, if we close above it, it should reach right into the 1 hour. If we wick it, it'll retrace back into the discount again. From there, potentially holding and then giving another run higher. Okay, so support comes in, expected. Now we'd expect for a run into short-term buy side here. We did get this short-term high, so if we wick that, we might not get this one. I'd like to see this one. The more I look at this, the more I can't believe we actually got that exit. That's very lucky. Very lucky exit. See, sometimes you need luck, but skill presents luck, right? Which candle was the H1 fair value gap reference from? It's this one right here, right? You have to go all the way to the left. Because within this current delivery, we're already gone, right? So there's nothing in here to use on this current leg. So you have to go to previous price action. It's this 1 hour right here. Monday, February 24th, right? This large 1 hour. This is the important one because displacement through a low, closing below the low with the fair value gap in its place. The fair value gap held as a premium and then sent us lower, right? Respected more than once. So it's been a discount that was used already. So originally we had the high targeted, right? That's what we see if I go right now so you understand. That's what this level is. Right, that's that 4 hour as well. So it's a 1 hour swing point and it's a 4 hour candlestick closure. So that's why that was a key area. We saw how that got used. Perfect delivery, perfect delivery, perfect delivery, displace above. That was also why we expected the bullishness. And now, as we said, if we're going to do that and get above, well, now the expectation would be to get into the actual high of the 1 hour. So kind of as we saw there, we didn't get this high, but we got that short-term high. We wicked the short-term high, we retrace into the discount, and now we'll give another leg, wicking the high. So from here, as we said, at that point, consolidation profile would be we wick this high, we test this again, and then we push through one more time. It's not going to be a clean run, right? It's going to be a lot of give and take. So that's kind of what my expectation would be, was that we're going to tap this one more time. From there, I'd want to see it hold to actually try to get into the 1 hour. He said, where's Chris? You're funny. He's not here to learn, brother. He just wants to cause the issue. You know what I mean? I kind of feel bad for people like that. Because it's like you waste a lot of energy. I guess hating would be the word, where it's like you could spend that energy just getting better regardless. Like even if you don't like ICT, why wouldn't you spend your time trying to learn something that you do like or believe in rather than trash something you don't really know anything about? Dun, dun, dun. But some people, I guess, thrive off that emotional feeling. Oh, you just, yeah, I always have my be adjust on. Always have it on. Some can have it off, some could have it on. It's really up to you, but I've learned and I've grown with it on, so it'll always be on for me. That's just how I understand how to read price. So as we said, not too worried about this, especially in consolidations. After running short-term swing points, you get retracements into the original discounts for entry. Think here, like we just spoke of. Entry, short-term high cleared, original discount for entry. So for me now, as long as we still hold this, I would expect another run higher. Honestly, we can come all the way down into buy side and still hold. Like for me, I'm not thrown out of the bullish move of the expectation that we get into this 1 hour high, unless we fall underneath this 15-minute that we were using all morning. But the expectation would be, as we said, we run that high, we retrace into the discount, we run this high again. From there now, at this point, if we do run this high again, because we've cleared the actual swing here, I wouldn't want to wick this high. I'd want to push through this high, close above it, and then get into the high of the 1 hour. Because it's okay to reference this multiple times when we're within the range, but once you clear the buy side, right, that was the first candle to clear this actual swing point. That's when you would expect a retracement. But if we push through that level again on the second pass, then you wouldn't want a retracement, okay? You would want price to close above that swing point and actually push. Okay, so I mean, that's good, right? You want it to close above the swing point. It opens with the volume imbalance. My expectation was we need to leave this open, and if anything, just push straight into the high from here, creating a classic volume imbalance to where we trade into the previous candle's close, we leave that, and we push right into the 1 hour. We may want to wick a little bit lower into like right this old high, which is fine, but as long as that volume imbalance remains open, the expectation would be the 1 hour high will be visited. So at that point, that's what we're watching. Say that gets closed in, especially if it closes back below this swing point, it'll negate this candle's action in my mind, so we'll just have to wait. But if it does stay open, we should see the 1 hour. Cool, so at this point, we would expect candle bodies to respect the volume imbalance until we get into this 1 hour. We can wick into like the fair value gap. We can wick into this high again, but bodies should not close below this if this is the objective. That's fine, as we said. We have a fair value gap here. We can wick into that. It's all about the body closure. If we were to close below this, we'd want pretty much the next candle to immediately get back above, because now it's going to be an area of resistance, and this swing high may be the swing high that runs us back into the lows. Because now in this type of delivery, as we say, the stair stepper, it's very easy as we're putting in lows here, lows here, lows here. It's very easy to run those lows out. Right, so now that we've closed below that, this is going to be an issue. This is going to be an issue because it's going to become an area of resistance. Very next candle would need to negate this bearish candle closing back underneath and make an attempt to close above. If it doesn't, it's probably going to hold that to send price into one of these short-term lows here. So that's what I'm watching. I want to see this candle make an effort to get above, close back above, and then run for the 1 hour high. We don't want to see it do this, right? Trade back up into this up close candle, the highest swing point, and then reject. If it does that, I would expect another run lower. Y'all play the new Fortnite Blitz mode? That's the real question. I've been playing the hell out of that, to be honest. Can get 10 wins in an hour. Love it. Okay, so this previous candle was able to close right on the original range. That's okay, but we need to get above the actual volume imbalance here. All right, we're still going to hold that as an area of resistance, you could see. And now we're actually holding, because in theory we close below this, so this can be an inversion here, and that's why we see we wick into the volume imbalance, but the candle body can't leave that fair value gap. So if this candle can actually leave the bullish volume imbalance open, it'll be closing back above, reclaiming this bullish. And then ideally it should be able to get, ooh, it doesn't. So because it doesn't, I would expect we're gonna run lower now. Right, because in theory, we open with a bullish volume imbalance, but we actually still close within that range. So it's showing that the volume imbalance here is stronger than the actual fair value gap. Right, so if we're going to do that, that's why we would expect this becomes resistance. And exactly as we spoke about, these become a low resistance liquidity run. Because we have 3 lows here perfectly, we would expect to see a quick down close candle that really clears all 3 of these lows out off of that premium. He said fight about to break. You don't like it? What? No way. I like reload too though. Reload is good because you get obviously right, the reloads, the respawns. Plus you can build, so I guess it depends on, oh. Tradeovate said you're down. You're down. Okay. Awkward. No one see my password? That's gonna be the first presented. Geez, think about that. We haven't had a fair value gap since 9:30 opening. That can classify as the first presented. If that is the first presented, then we may not actually get here. And I would expect this to run bearish now. Right, as we said, we should not have displaced below this volume imbalance, and especially below that. That was the first sign that we're going to give a short-term run. But I give you that. Reload's good. If you like builds. I'm kind of a no-build guy, which is why I like Blitz a little bit more. Because the aim is godly, but the building... I'm getting older, right? A little washed, I'll admit it. Look at this, though. Inversion is going to be paired with first presented, so actually, that might be a short. Especially with the volume imbalance, you go to the high. 5 handles to finally clear out some of these lows. You can just go to 15 minute like that, follow that. No more entries for me. We'll see if that holds. May just run though. As we often speak about, wicks that get broken will become gaps. So as we create this wick, you got to think of it as, say like on a 1 second chart, right? It's going to be a swing low. It's going to retrace into a premium, and then it's going to break through that low. So then that's why we expect lows like this to become areas of resistance, right? So in reality, as we close below that here with this candle, price really won't need to go back above that. So that's why we see it just tap it barely, but now boom, right back into the 15, and then as we said, our target would just be consequent encroachment again. There it is. Cool. Ooh, perfect delivery. Look at that. Once again, that's the 1 hour swing. That's the 4 hour high. It's a very random level in price where buying pressure comes in and people buy over and over. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what's happening at all. Very algorithmic reference point. Boom. And then we go through it. There's the dump. So that was the short, actually. We didn't even get the retracement. You would have had to use the wick short. From here, do we start running lower? No, we still could bounce, to be honest. Because now on a higher time frame, all of this on a higher time frame is simply closing above the high. We create the fair value gap, first return into that. So now at this point, we could bounce from here, make another attempt. We have 8 minutes for this 1 hour to close. So actually that could give us, we'll wait 8 minutes. At 10 o'clock, this 1 hour will close. My expectation would be if it's closing inside the 1 minute or the 1 hour fair value gap, it could still remain bullish. Not thrown off quite yet, right? Wouldn't expect lower prices yet. We did say opening gap, midpoint, 70% of the time will get hit. So I would want to see that at least, but as we said, I don't think, yeah, right, these lows we had in mind as well. What's even crazy is we actually forecasted that, right? So the opening range was exactly where we expected it to be. It was the previous day high and that midnight. Midpoint aligns with those equal lows. So to me, we're going to come into this. That's what we're trying to reach for. Only bad thing about this is like such a small range. I guess you could be a high frequency trading algorithm. Do one of these, little 1-to-1. NQ, oh yeah, I've stopped looking at that. Let's see what that's doing. I only have one chart pulled up now. We're overlapping. No, yeah, same idea though, right? It's here in both. And that's because we're going to want to break away from here. So you have to think like if the objective is to run lower, everything in here is already balanced. So there's no need to retest any inefficiency on the way down of this leg because this whole range, low to high, is balanced already. Lowest low to highest high. Right on the way up, the paintbrush analogy. We've gone up and down so many times, up, down, up, down. Everything in here is freshly painted, right, full. So as soon as we can actually start putting in bearish moves, we have no need to return into any of these inefficiencies on the way down. And that's why we see that quick fall. That's also why I kind of would expect if we truly do want to get into here, you drag out that range, this low here becomes a breaker. And I wouldn't want to see much higher than that in the short term. All right, so let's kind of clear some things up. So we have the buy side, we have this. But if we're trying to get into here, right, we'd want that breaker to pretty much hold. If we come back higher than that, I think this will be more so that seek into short, or it will be, as we spoke about, just continued bullishness. Right? You have to rely on the higher time frames. So we're flirting with the idea that we can run lower, but the overall narrative is still bullish delivery. So these are like the false setups that you need extra confirmation on. That confirmation would come in the form of right, higher time frame candlesticks closing below that as well. But as we look at this 15-minute wick or 5-minute wick, 15-minute wick, 1 hour, holding the 1 hour fair value gap. So all three of these candlesticks will close in the next 5 minutes. right? They'll all be in sync. And then at that point, that's why I'd like to see what 10 o'clock does, because it'll give us a pretty good indication. Like if we were to hold this, I would actually expect this to be more of an inversion play. So you would look for that fair value gap here to get inverted. You would use that long to target these highs. For the time being, we'll key up on the actual breaker. High, low to the highest high, displacement through that, classifying it as a true break, right? Displacement through a low. That's one thing I'm always looking at. Anytime we clear a low, I'm trying to see, are we displacing through it, leaving an inefficiency like this, or are we wicking it, right? With just a quick wick and a retracement into the range. Think something like this, right? That's the difference. First time it's a wick, we wouldn't expect bullish continuation. Second time though, closure above with fair value gap, that's why we would expect continuation. So as soon as something like that fails, that's when you can flip your idea, right? If that discount's going to fail, then we would expect that run lower. So same idea here. For me, as we clear these lows, we left that fair value gap. So if the expectation is we want to run higher, if we invert that, that should be used as support after we've cleared sell sides, right, to pump back up. There's the high of the breaker. If we do that, we can invert. You can invert every PD array. Closure above, so yeah, right, we do invert that. So honestly, I would almost look at this. I'd like midpoint just to get a little bit deeper retracement. It would help with like stop management, because you could use that high and you'd have to kind of go like this. Or if you're going to be safe all the way down here, maybe 1-to-1. If you were going to use midpoint of the breaker, then you can have a little bit tighter stop, which allows more RR. But low-hanging fruit would have been as soon as this candlestick taps that, you're entering, because we've inverted not only the breaker, but both of the bearish fair value gaps that were created on the way down. This one is very important because it's this displacement candle that clears out liquidity, right? As soon as we displace that, get above, that's that purge and revert we talk about. We're purging the liquidity, delivering into higher time frame discounts. We're reverting back above the original liquidity, and then that level is what's used perfectly, right? Absolute perfect precision there. Once, twice, boom, run higher, closure above, as we said. New inversion becomes area of opportunity, but speed often met with speed. So this might just run straight into that before 10 o'clock. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. That's how you save yourself from unnecessary shorts. Once again, as we said, 1 minute paints outside the lines, but you can't be purely 1 minute. I know it looks like that's all we do because that's all you ever really see is the 1 minute. But I'm never solely relying on that. If anything, it's the last kind of thing that I'm really putting into account is the actual 1 minute structure. Right, 15 minute, that's what we're using, so you have to use the corresponding time frame. Just a wick. And it opened with the volume imbalance, so that should probably stay open. That stays open, we get the high. Back into that inversion. This is where it would be more of a speed bump. Slight retracement maybe into like volume imbalance here, fair value gap here, but then we'd expect the fair value gap high ran. If we came all the way back down to this 15, I'd actually expect that to hold again. Oh, all right, 10 o'clock. You said last, if we're gonna hold from here, speed bump, retrace into last discount before one more move potentially. I still like potential running all the way back down into 15 and holding that if these highs stay in place. NQ didn't clear those highs either, so got the two-headed horseman, man. Got the yappers, competing yappers out here, which is why we'll be done here. As we said, we already had sniper entry this morning. Snipe the low, snipe the high. We donezo. Now we just let it play. I do like this as a purge and revert entry though, to be honest, right here. Purge the 15-minute liquidity. Displace back above. Retest of the 15 should be met with support. And then I want this. I still want the high right here, man. Relative equal highs here. So as we tap that, let's see. That'd be entry. Stop loss would be below the swing point. I'd use the actual open of that candle. Stop loss below the lowest down close candle. The body of it. And then because of that, you could even just target like this, right? 5 handles. We'd see if it falls through here. But yeah, I like that. As we said, it will retest the original discount more than once and still offer support. So really anytime it taps that, that could be a buying opportunity. Like if your idea is running higher, any 15-minute test could be a buy. Buy here, buy here, buy here, buy here, buy here. That's more so key level. A key level strategy, right? If you're looking at kind of candlesticks and you want to wait for candlestick confirmation, that's what we did. Added confirmation, right? So you wait for an actual kind of candlestick delivery, short-term lows cleared, displacing away, creating new discounts aligned with that. A few ways you can go about it. I always like confirmation, so usually I'll wait for that. Okay, so yeah, from here I'd want to see another run higher, to be honest. That's kind of what the expectation would be. This low should be a protected low in my opinion, and I'd rather have this high be ran first, right? If the bias is bullish. If the bias isn't bullish and I'm just offsides with my thinking, as we said, this is kind of all the buy side we needed to clear, then we'll actually hold the last premium before the external range and come back down for the lows, these equal lows. Nice. So we like that. pretty much we just want to see it. It could even test this 15 again. So, right, as I said, for me, I would just have an entry there and just submit to the idea that these lows are protected. Understand that it may kind of spend some time in here, but eventually, if we're correct, it should move away. I'd expect something like that, honestly. Like if we are going to move away, we'll trade into this little fair value gap here. We'll hesitate, give a slight retracement. We should push up into this fair value gap here. Maybe same idea, give a hesitation. Then ultimately we'd want to see at least the buy side be pushed through. Nice. So there's that first fair value gap, as we said, slight hesitation. Closure above will be good to reach into here. We close right inside, so not thrown off, right? We expected that speed bump in price right here. So we slow down, we would expect the retracement down into original 15 again. From there could hold, then push through. And right, this is all just textbook consolidation delivery, high resistance. In a trending market, like you wouldn't expect that. Like you would expect to close above, use this as an inversion, keep running. But it's very obvious that we're stuck in a consolidation. So you have to look for high resistance liquidity runs. And that's kind of what they do, right? They hit discounts, they retrace, or they hit opposing PD arrays, they retrace into where we would try to enter. And then they would run through those PD arrays. So at this point, I'm pretty much just expecting another test of the 15, seeing if it'll bounce again to then get us above this fair value gap here. We can run out this low, hit the 15-minute consequent encroachment. You think we could watch him talk? Are we allowed to? Right, I'm not really a YouTube person. That's why I like Discord a little bit better. And we're going to be going back to Discord here in the future for those that are around, just so you know. The whole point of this is really just to get my channel monetized, and then I'll move back to the private Discord. That allows more freedom with like my music and just the things we show. But I kind of want to watch if Trump is talking. I'm just not sure if we can play that video on the screen as well. I think we can, right? Is that allowed on YouTube? I just don't know how copyright and stuff works. Quick Google search. So yeah, I mean, right, that's exactly what we would expect there. As we say, we're going to have a speed bump at the original opposing PD array. It will return into the original area of entry. That PD array will then be traded through, where it should now be used as an area of support. If we're going to hit this one, we would expect the same thing. Hesitation of some sort, retracement into a discount, followed by a push through that again. Ultimately trying to get here. That's the expectation.
You seem to be discussing a trading strategy involving a speed bump or hesitation.
Why is it listening to me like that? My phone is eavesdropping, yo. What the hell? Oh my God. I don't know if we can do that. But is the price gonna drop? That is comedy, huh? He said, what the fuck are they doing? Yeah, like, come on now, that is hilarious. This man's a character. I can't even help but laugh at that. Get him out of here. Where we at? Another failure swing. As we said, this is going to be the lowest that we would want to see. So if this low is going to be protected low and we want to run into this, I'd want to see pretty much, this is that 4 hour, 1 hour swing point. 15 minute we have to use once again, as we said, 2 minutes until this closes. 15 minute has really shown an unwillingness to get below. So if we were to close inside this, to me, that'd be a lot stronger of an indication that we may actually start running lower now. Yeah, okay. So, closure below in 1 minute. We don't want to get too anticipatory, but 15 minute, 2 minutes until that closes. If the 15 minute were to close and we left this open, I would expect the 15 to be acting as an inversion potentially. So I'm watching here, right? Because in the short term, when the 15 minute closes, if it's going to want to close bearish, the 1 minute should hold this fair value gap and actually trade lower. And it will close below the 15 minute fair value gap. Yeah, kind of like that. Exactly like that, actually. It'll probably reach for these lows and then try to, as we said, this is kind of the opposing sell side objective. Equal lows paired with untapped inefficiency, perfectly strong magnet in price, relative equal lows just above now. So engineering more sell side. But even from here, like, that's why it's too short of a move. Small range is not worth trying to capture this. Like, it's easy to see that, but the risk to reward just isn't there. With the 15 now, so as we said, if the 1 minute's going to close like this, 15 will have inverted. Oh, we go straight into it. All right, never mind. Well, from there, I don't really know. No more bias. At this point, my bias has really been met, both sides. We cleared the buy side. We did fall just short of our high up here, but right, we don't need to hit that to be profitable. And then we expected sell side to hit this. So from here, we don't really have a bias at this point anymore, which means we could be done. Wait till like 10:30 maybe. Da 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 da. What I would watch for here is I'm going to take where these two wicks were created inside of this fair value gap. So we wick through, we displace through that, right? We would expect that to hold us bearish. It does. So now I'm thinking if we invert that, that'll be a nice area to try to long. Now that we've cleared out this sell side and this sell side. Just looking for a retracement back into this range. Like 5 handles would get you, you can go right back into this inefficiency. So watch that if that's a potential setup. We're retesting it now. So as I said, if we invert that, you could almost even use the original 1 minute. In that choppy condition, you'll see that, like, say we invert that, it might come back down and test this again and still hold. Stop would be below these lows. That's only 2 handle stop, very small range as we said. 5 handles gets you into a volume imbalance, so that'd be a nice area to look for. We'll move this level. The line itself, as we said, is a 1 hour swing point. So that's going to be liquidity, but we also have just a 15 low, so we'll use that as kind of the barrier. So the first test of a 15 is a potential inversion. Right, we close below it, we're coming back up into it. We'll see if we break back outside of it again. Consequent encroachment and the 1 minute bearish fair value gap. From here, if we do get below fair value gap, right, we should just keep running lower. So I'd aim for like these relative equal lows next. For extremely bearish, potentially these ones down here. Look for a full closure pretty much of the opening range gap. So we're bouncing off midpoint. So that's kind of the expectation is, all right, if this is wanting to be a bullish run, you invert the discount, you wait for a retracement into midpoint, the original discount it holds at, expecting it to bounce from there again. We fall through that, we'll actually be getting below the midpoint, and then I'd look for the low of that opening range. Or at least some lows right on the way down. So like we said, this low here, new day opening gap, midnight. So yeah, well, what's that? This becomes that sell side, equal lows. All right, I'll be right back. All right. He said first presented as an ICT. What? Why you say that? You don't trust it? That's funny. He sound big. What you mean? It's been used perfectly today. Are you sure you're using the right ones? See an NQ, I mean, that's perfect. That's perfect. Breaker with first presented. Perfect wick into it. Even here. Outside the lines a little bit, but. My guess is you might be using the wrong one. Ah, that's why. No, yeah, we use that every day. All day, every day. Very key level. Okay, so yeah, we're just getting choppy here. We'll hang out till 10:30 and then we'll call it a morning. Be content. We got our nice little run higher we were looking for. Oh, even yesterday's, right? Look at that. Perfect support, perfect resistance, flipped again, perfect support. So as we said, the entry on this would be as you confirm the break, you then wait for the retracement into the original entry. As we said, stop would be below the lows, and then you would just target, yeah, the high. Closure above, so now we should push through that previous day. Should hold that to get into this one. So if we're going to leave the volume imbalance open paired to that 15, right, 15 getting back above it, we would expect that should hold. It might wick into the actual 1 minute fair value gap here, but we'd want to see the bodies respect the volume imbalance. So maybe a wick into that with bodies holding here. Ideally, it just wicks that and then runs right into this little fair value gap, then potentially back up here. body was not able to hold that. So we'll see if this can hold, but we'd want this to wick and try to get immediately back above the 15, because once again, if we're going to give that up, it might mean that we're just going to retest this again, come back down into the consolidation. Yeah. Okay. So as we said, right there, another kind of how it gives you tips, or at least tipping its hand what price is going to do. Because as we create this, we create these swing lows, we displace back above the 15, and then we leave it with a volume imbalance. If we truly want to go higher in this leg, this is where price would hold. So as soon as we close below that, we already have the expectation that we're just going to give a deeper retracement back into the consolidation again. And that's what we got. Fall right through it. Might retest the 15 here, or the 1, excuse me. But as you said, we'll be good there. 10:30, about to go get me some breakfast. One last time, we can go over kind of what we analyzed and executed on today. So as we came into the day, we had the expectation that we should get continued buy-side delivery. So as we spoke about, right, we ran higher yesterday. As we come into today, we noticed that the higher time frame candlestick had closed above this buy side pull. So it closed above yesterday's high. When I see that, I'm immediately expecting another run higher off the most recent discount. So that was this 15 here, and that's what we were keying off of. So now as we work into low time frames, you'll still see, right, 5-minute closed above. As we said, even an hourly had closed above. So all the higher time frames are closing above, which is why we expected the continued bullish delivery. Aside from that, though, now what actually took place that got us involved? Well, here's that buy side. So heading into 8:30, we're consolidating. We get the 8:30 opening here. One side is delivery, so as soon as 8:30 opens, we push lower into equal lows. So we clear short-term equal lows, picking up liquidity. We trade into that 15-minute that we were keying up on, hitting its consequent encroachment beautifully. We said how if we can reject from there after clearing a short-term low, we want to see a discount be created as we leave the 15-minute. We get a perfect 1-minute fair value gap as we displace above. So as I see that, I'm immediately okay to go ahead and long here, because we got exactly what we wanted to see. Short-term low cleared, respecting higher time frame discount midpoint, displacing back above that 15-minute, leaving a 1-minute discount aligned with it. So for us, that was entry. Stop loss below the swing low because we wouldn't have to target that low. And then as you guys saw, just aiming for 5 handles. Just like that. So once we get in, we understood that this original run on buy side could be met with an retracement into the original entry point. So as we trade into that, we're not moving stop or anything. We're keeping it under this low. This is the protected low. It retraces into it once, a few more times, and then at 9:30, we actually get that run up. And as you saw, we end up closing really at the high of that candle, right? So 61.59 is the exit. The high of that candle comes in at 61.59. So we catch that swing high after getting the swing low. So overall, choppy delivery, but the idea makes sense, right? So that's where you just got to commit to it, understanding that we are in a choppy market. So a lot of give and take is going to take place, which is why we leave the stop where it is. And eventually that plays out beautifully. From there, we just wanted to see if we can get the 1 hour. We end up falling just short of that, clearing this high one more time. And now we're pretty much just right range bound once again, as Powell and Trump are talking. So overall, very good day. Right, that's kind of how we like it. Not as quick as we would like, but the idea reigns supreme. Bias holds true. And we're able to have some pretty precise entries and exits, even in a pretty choppy market like this. Yeah, going forward, tomorrow we have, let's see what we have tomorrow. A lot of news, jobless, durable goods. Okay, so a lot of news tomorrow as well, all at 8:30 Eastern. So tomorrow will just be a normal stream, right? We'll come at about 9:25 Eastern, just before that opening bell. And we'll see what we get then. Yep, thanks Mike, appreciate it. Like the video. if you guys are going to be around this afternoon, just to give us a little framework, I would say, all right, I still like that idea that if we're going to close below this midpoint of the opening range, close below this 1 minute, I would expect that the low of the opening range will want to be traded into and potentially midnight. So anything below this, I'd look for low prices. As long as we can maintain that, I'd actually like to see first presented. But because we are choppy, not really holding any strong bias, and I'm content with leaving and letting today play out. Yeah, appreciate y'all hanging out this morning. We will be back tomorrow morning at 9:25 Eastern, and we'll see what we get then. So until then, have a great afternoon, everybody. Stay safe, and we will talk tomorrow morning. Take care.